An explosion was heard and smoke seen at the power plant this morning, and here it is.
The natural disaster causes more damage the closer the civilization is to the epicenter of the actual earthquake itself. No matter how advanced the culture might be, surrounding the shoreline of the epicenter in Japan, there were 5 nuclear power plants. The Fukushima Daiichi was the only one to suffer catastrophic damage. Units 5 and 6 were deactivated, Unit 4 was under maintenance, and 1, 2 and 3 were supplying 30% of Tokyo's electricity. On May 7th, there was a small tsunami. The government take note as the actual barrier just was not high enough for the actual wave, even though it wasn't that painful to the actual infrastructure itself.
On the 12th of March, a major tsunami struck, causing massive infrastructure damage to the surrounding area. The president meets with nuclear company managers. They say everything is currently fine, but they had noticed core temperatures were off. Emergency generators turn on. Shutdown begins.
Everybody hit by the earthquake braces for impact. Shortly afterwards, they have to immediately evacuate due to the proximity to the nuclear facility. Aftershock from the earthquake provided enough ignition to ignite the hydrogen lining the ceiling. There is an evacuation within 20 kilometers of the nuclear explosion. The nuclear power plant reacted by going to reactor 1's mainframe. They had to carry car batteries in order to power the facility while checking the radiation levels, and the core temperature was drastically higher than they anticipated. Due to how badly the core was leaking, they decided they had to get some new people and suit them up in order to go into the actual main chamber and turn an electrically powered valve that would release pressure from the chamber and expose the nuclear radiation to the atmosphere. The president is worried that they should have released the pressure sooner, as the nuclear facility has started seeing casualties from the nuclear radiation.
Valve was in pitch black, needed to be jump started with car batteries, and it was located right next to the core. Releasing it was meant to lead it fully out into the atmosphere, but due to the infrastructure damage, it also added a lot more to the overall building. Radiation levels are 1000 times the normal rate for the building.
Once they hooked the car battery up to the security system of the valve, they had to then manually maneuver the electric valve to open. The valve released pressure from the core, but the hydrogen released was caught partially in the ceiling, which added to the explosion when it did detonate.
The 3 nuclear generators that are active are ruined beyond repair. The others are still salvageable. They had built a large dam to break any kind of large wave at its base in order to prevent massive structural damage. The cores were also placed below ground level, dug into rock, designed to mitigate earthquake damage. There was a backup generator that was destroyed in the aftershock. The president sadly had to step down 6 months after the disaster.
There has been a lot of progression made towards restoring the ground to its former glory. The surrounding area was evacuated so quickly, there is essentially a time capsule of people who have left their jobs. The only real way to change the toxic radiation of an area is to remove the top 4 or 5 inches of soil from the entire patch of land. 3 years on, and Naraha, the first town, has officially reopened. Some locals have actually questioned how thorough the private company that deals with soil collection is, and have taken it into their own hands to solve the problem.